There are moments in royal history that explode into the public consciousness like a flash of lightning, blinding, unexpected, impossible to ignore. But none of them prepared anyone for what happened at the Future Workforce Summit. A room filled with world leaders, CEOs, innovators, policymakers, and one sharply delivered joke from Kate Middleton that detonated like a grenade under Meghan Markle's already shaking public image. Because no one expected Kate, the always polished, always controlled, always composed Princess of Wales, to say what she said. And absolutely no one expected Meghan to react the way she did. Before we continue, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell for updates. But before the memes, before the headlines, before the hashtag Duchess of Yacht started trending with unforgiving force, something crucial happened in those first few seconds. Something subtle. Something that the cameras almost missed. And it's that tiny moment, that 8-second shift in Kate's tone, that sent Meghan spiraling into a fury unlike anything we've seen from her far. Let me take you into that room. But first, let me ask you something directly. Why does one joke, one mild jab, spoken in passing, half wrapped in humor, hit one woman like a nuclear warhead, but roll off another like a feather? Why did Meghan react with panic, rage, frantic phone calls, and full-scale PR meltdown, while Kate simply smiled, stepped off stage, and went to greet schoolchildren as if nothing had happened? Why was that joke the one that broke Meghan? Well, to understand that, we have to rewind. Because what most people don't know is that the tension between Kate and Meghan didn't start at the summit. It didn't start at the coronation. It didn't start at the wedding. It didn't even start when Meghan joined the royal family. No, it started before that. And Kate's joke, the one that triggered Meghan's fury, wasn't random. It wasn't accidental. And it definitely wasn't innocent. It was the culmination of years of private comments, public contradictions, whispered warnings, media battles, and a rivalry that both women pretended didn't exist. Until now. And once you hear the full story, every detail, every uncomfortable moment, every dig that built up to the explosion, you'll understand exactly why Meghan Markle went crazy the second she heard Kate say those words on stage. So let's begin at the moment the world saw, but didn't actually understand. The Future Workforce Summit. London. The air buzzing with that corporate charitable hybrid energy, the kind Meghan always tried to inhabit but could never quite master. Kate arrived wearing that calm, unshakable royal glow. You know the one, the effortless composure Meghan reportedly envied behind closed doors. The kind of grace that isn't learned, isn't performed, isn't manufactured. It's inherited, or it isn't. Kate stepped onto that stage looking like she belonged there. Meghan wasn't there, of course, but she was watching. And what Kate said, what Kate hinted at, was enough to make Meghan's phone buzz nonstop within minutes. Kate reached that part of her speech where she spoke about young women entering the workforce, about overcoming challenges, about navigating industries that don't always welcome them. Then she paused, the kind of pause that makes the whole room lean forward, and added, for some ladies, their, let's say, extracurricular adventures don't define their future careers. Thankfully, the room laughed. Cameras caught a few raised eyebrows. Most people took it as a light-hearted remark. But Meghan knew. Meghan recognized it instantly. Because that wasn't just a joke. It was a callback. A direct reference. To her. To the whispers she'd spent years trying to bury. To the rumors she thought she had outrun. To the reputation she privately begged Hollywood PR teams to scrub from the internet. The Duchess of Yacht nickname. A term Meghan despised. A term she feared Kate knew about. A term she prayed Kate would never use, directly or indirectly. And in that instant, as Kate smiled and moved on with her speech, Meghan reportedly lost it. Not publicly, not yet. Privately. Inside the Montecito mansion, the same mansion she once bragged about as proof she had won the royal game. She paced back and forth with a phone in one hand and a half-written email in the other. Sources say her voice cracked. Her anger spiked. Her humiliation burned. Because Kate didn't just make a joke. Kate exposed a truth Meghan didn't want the world to revisit. But here's the twist, and it's a big one. Kate didn't actually say Meghan's name. She didn't hint, Duchess. She didn't mention anything specific. Yet somehow, everyone knew. Why? Why did the world immediately interpret the remark as a jab at Meghan? Why did the internet explode with comments like, "We know who she meant. Oof, that one's gonna sting in Montecito"? Kate said it without saying it. Why was it instantly obvious? Because buried beneath the surface. In whispers across Hollywood, in stories Meghan never fully explained, in carefully handled interviews and aggressively managed PR statements, lies a history that Meghan's team has spent years trying to erase. And Kate, in one elegant sentence, cracked the door open just enough for people to remember. But that wasn't the only reason Meghan spiraled. The real reason, the one she didn't tell Harry, the one she didn't tell her PR team, the one she didn't want anyone to figure out, was more personal, more painful, more revealing. Because Meghan always wanted to be Kate. Not in personality, not in values, but in influence, in impact, in social power. Meghan wanted to be the woman who walked into a room and silenced it with elegance, not controversy. She wanted the world to admire her, not debate her motives. She wanted to be the woman CEOs and presidents wanted at their summits, not the one audiences rolled their eyes at. So when Kate made that joke, Meghan didn't just hear shade. She heard proof that she had failed. Proof that Kate had beaten her without even trying. Proof that Meghan's carefully curated image was slipping again. And the worst part? Kate wasn't even trying to attack her. Because everything that happened next, the meltdown, the PR emergency meeting, the frantic phone calls, the internal panic at Archewell, the leaked audio, all of it came from Meghan's reaction, not Kate's intention. But before we go there, let's examine something no one wants to talk about openly. Why that phrase, Duchess of Yacht, terrifies Meghan. Because the truth behind it is messy, complicated, fuzzy in the public record, clearer in private circles, and tied to Kate in a way few people know. Because once upon a time, before the royal titles, before the Montecito mansion, before the drama, Meghan and Kate shared something they never acknowledged publicly. A mutual acquaintance. One who knew both of their earliest reputations. One who told Kate something she never forgot. One who told Meghan something she never forgave. But we'll get to that. Right now, we return to the moment after Kate stepped off that stage. She smiled. She posed for photos. She shook hands with leaders. She laughed with students. She carried herself with the kind of calm that comes only from knowing you didn't say anything you couldn't defend. Meanwhile, 9 time zones away, Meghan was unraveling. One assistant said her voice rose so fast it startled the dogs. Another said she kept repeating the same line. She thinks she can humiliate me publicly? She thinks she can call me that. She thinks she can get away with this? But Kate hadn't called her anything. That was the point. Meghan wasn't reacting to what Kate said. She was reacting to what Kate implied. Because implication is more powerful than accusation. It's more elegant, more subtle, more devastating. Especially when it comes from a woman like Kate. And here's where things take a darker turn. Because while Meghan was spiraling, something else was happening that she didn't know about. Not yet. Someone was recording. A team member. A friend. A visitor. A mistake. But the recording of Meghan's meltdown existed. And within hours, it would leak. But before that happens, something even more explosive takes place. A phone call. A confrontation. A warning. And a single sentence that changed the trajectory of the entire scandal. It started with a laugh. But not the usual polite, reserved royal event kind of laugh. Not the forced chuckle people do because a title demands it. No, this laugh was different. Sharper. Louder. A little too real. A little too knowing. And it came seconds after Kate Middleton delivered the one sentence that would set Meghan Markle's world on fire. Picture the scene. A polished stage. Soft blue lighting. Rows of CEOs leaning forward, hands folded, trying to catch every word from the Princess of Wales, who was speaking about empowering young women in the modern workforce. Cameras flashed in gentle waves. The audience hung on her every word. Kate looked relaxed, warm, completely in command. Then she paused. You know that moment, when a speaker shifts their tone, tilting the atmosphere in the room, making everyone think, wait, what's coming next? Kate tilted her head. Her mouth curled into the softest smirk. Her voice took on a playful edge. And she said it. For some ladies, their extracurricular adventures don't define their future careers. Thankfully. 8 words. That was all it took. 8 seconds. 8 syllables that cracked open a vault Meghan had welded shut years ago. And let's be absolutely clear. Kate never said Meghan's name. Not once. Not a syllable. Not even a breath in her direction. Yet, for some reason, every person in that room immediately knew exactly who she meant. The laugh that rippled across the audience wasn't general amusement. It was recognition. A few people even glanced at each other. That you heard it too, right? Look, the kind that signals everyone's brains connected the same dots at the same time. Even the camera operator paused for half a second, as if stunned. Because in royal protocol, there are rules. Rules about decorum. Rules about diplomacy. Rules about never, ever acknowledging personal drama on a public stage. And Kate, the queen of rules, had just broken one. Or at least, it looked that way. And yet, the way she said it, the elegance, the lightness, the carefully crafted plausible deniability, it was perfect, perfectly calculated, perfectly delivered, perfectly pointed. But only Meghan knew just how pointed it really was. Because the joke wasn't about Hollywood actresses in general. It wasn't about young women overcoming stereotypes. It wasn't about female empowerment in the workplace. The joke was about an old rumor, one Meghan feared more than any tabloid headline, any leaked email, any accidental slip of the tongue. The nickname that stalked her throughout her early career. Duchess of Yacht. Not a title Meghan ever wanted. Not a title she ever acknowledged. Not a title she remotely expected to hear referenced publicly by the Princess of Wales. But that was exactly what Kate had done, without ever saying the words. And that's what made it so devastating. Kate was subtle. Meghan was volatile. Kate used a scalpel. Meghan used a sledgehammer. And the moment the audience laughed, Meghan's world tilted. Let me ask you something. Have you ever had someone joke about something you thought you had buried? Something you thought no one would ever bring up again? That sinking feeling in your stomach? That icy rush down your spine? That sudden, uncontrollable heat in your face? Meghan felt all of it, at once. But before we get to her reaction, let's stay in that room for a bit longer. Because the atmosphere shifted instantly. A few members of the royal press corps exchanged looks, the kind of looks that said, did she really just say that? Royal aides froze, unsure if they should smile or pretend they didn't hear anything. In the second row, a CEO from a global tech firm whispered to his colleague, "Is she talking about?" His colleague nodded slowly. Everyone knew. Even Kate seemed to know the weight of what she'd done, but she didn't flinch. She smiled, letting the room settle. Then she continued speaking as if nothing unusual had happened. That was the power of it. The confidence. The ease. Kate owned that stage. She knew it. The audience knew it. And Meghan, watching from Montecito, knew it most of all. Here's the irony. Kate didn't raise her voice. She didn't point fingers. She didn't even change her posture. But that one line did more damage than any tabloid could have. Because Kate did what Meghan feared the most. She turned a rumor into a joke. A rumor that Meghan had fought desperately to erase suddenly became meme material, again. And the internet reacted instantly. Within seconds, clips of the moment hit social media. TikTok. She's talking about Meghan, right? Twitter, or X. That was shade with a crown on it. Instagram comments. Catherine Elizabeth Middleton did not come to play today. And then a hashtag began forming in real time. Hashtag Duchess of Yacht. Exactly the one Meghan despised. Exactly the one she feared would resurface. Exactly the one that now surged across the internet like a wildfire. But let's shift focus for a moment. Because what Kate said wasn't just a joke. It was a callback. A reference. A direct strike at a specific insecurity. To understand why Meghan spiraled the way she did, we need to go back. Not to the wedding, not to the Oprah interview, not even to Meghan's Hollywood years. We need to go back to the conversation Meghan had years earlier with someone she never expected to cross paths with, Kate. A mutual acquaintance. One who knew Meghan before the royal fame. One who knew her social circles. One who, allegedly, told Kate something that Meghan assumed would never escape private gossip. Something Meghan feared more than the nickname itself. But we will come to that in the next chapter. For now, let's talk about how the audience reacted. Because Kate didn't drop the comment lightly. She timed it perfectly, right after discussing resilience, right before shifting into mentorship, right in the middle of discussing integrity, the kind of integrity Kate subtly implied some women lacked during their early careers. Meghan. Always Meghan. People laughed because they knew exactly who Kate meant. People laughed because Kate finally acknowledged what many had whispered. People laughed because the private rivalry had slipped, just a hair, into the public eye. And Meghan? Meghan didn't laugh. Meghan paced. Meghan clenched her fists. Meghan snapped at staff. Meghan's voice rose, sharp, frantic, panicked. At least, that's what the leaked audio later captured. But we're not there yet. Back at the summit, Kate continued her speech with flawless composure, offering encouragement to young leaders, empowering remarks, and an aura of regal control that only made the joke sting deeper. Because Kate looked unbothered, radiant, confident, comfortable, everything Meghan wished she appeared to be, but rarely succeeded. Kate finished the speech. The audience applauded. She stepped off stage calmly, greeting the young entrepreneurs who rushed to meet her. Meanwhile, Meghan's phone began vibrating. Aides texting, PR managers calling, friends warning. Did you hear what she said? Are you watching this? Oh my God, Meghan, she meant you. Meghan's reaction? Immediate, explosive, not strategic, not careful, not measured. The meltdown started. But what happened in that meltdown, the part the leaked recording later revealed, is far more shocking than what Kate said on stage. Because Meghan didn't just get angry. She said something. Something personal. Something revealing. Something that, once leaked, made the world question everything. And it all began the moment Kate walked off that stage. It didn't take long. Not minutes. Not several messages. Not even the time it takes to walk from a conference stage to the back hallway. Kate's joke had barely finished echoing through the Future Workforce Summit auditorium before Meghan Markle's world erupted, violently, inside the walls of her Montecito mansion. The meltdown didn't start with shouting. It didn't start with tears. It didn't even start with the infamous glass smash people claimed to hear. It started with a single notification, a screenshot sent by one of Meghan's own staff members. A freeze frame of Kate on stage, eyes bright, smile controlled, the now viral 8-second joke captured in text across the screen, followed by 3 words Meghan hated more than any tabloid headline ever written about her. She meant you. That was the match. The spark. The oxygen meeting gasoline. Meghan stared at the screen, her fingers tightening around the phone. And then her other phone, the one she kept separate, away from Harry, away from the official Archwell devices, began lighting up too. Buzz. Buzz. Buzz buzz. PR managers. Close friends. Hollywood acquaintances. A reporter she hadn't spoken to in months suddenly wanting a comment. Every message was the same. She shaded you. You're trending. You need to respond now. But Meghan didn't respond. Not at first. She froze. You know that feeling when your body reacts before your brain catches up? That surge of heat in your chest? That tightness in your throat? That sense that the ground under you is shifting, but you're powerless to stop it? That was Meghan in that moment. Because for the first time in a long time, she realized something terrifying. Kate controlled the narrative. Kate, the woman Meghan had always secretly feared. Kate, the woman she compared herself to constantly. Kate, the woman who, with one sentence, had reawakened a rumor Meghan spent years running from. Meghan's breathing quickened. Her face flushed. Her hands trembled. And then, with the slow build-up of a storm, everything snapped. Get them on the phone, she shouted. Her voice was sharp, louder than usual, too high-pitched for calm, too frantic for composure. 2 staff members rushed into the room. A room Meghan herself jokingly called the PR panic room, even though it was technically just her private home office. But over time, it truly had become exactly that. The place she retreated whenever a headline went wrong, whenever a narrative spun out of her control, whenever she felt the world slipping through her fingers. Today, it lived up to its name. Her laptop screen blinked awake. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, trending hashtags, Duchess of Yacht, hashtag Kate Shade, hashtag Future Workforce Summit, hashtag She Said What. Meghan's heart dropped. No, she muttered. She can't do this. She can't talk about me. She can't. A PR director, a man who had worked with some of Hollywood's most difficult clients, cautiously suggested. Maybe she didn't mean it that way. Meghan whipped her head toward him like a blade. She meant it exactly how it sounded. Silence. No one pushed back again. Another phone buzzed. A different staffer stepped forward. There's already a narrative forming, she said carefully. People are saying Kate exposed you. They're laughing. Laughing. That was the word that broke Meghan. People were laughing at her, not analyzing her, not debating her, not defending her, laughing. And for Meghan, that was the deepest cut. She thrived on being taken seriously, on being admired, on being viewed as influential, powerful, respected. Nothing terrified her more than becoming a joke. Nothing. And right now, thanks to Kate's 8-second comment, Meghan felt the shift happening. The public turning, the internet mocking, the narrative slipping. She slammed her palm on the desk. We need a statement. Now. Her PR director flinched slightly. Meghan, reacting too quickly, could make it look unhinged, she snapped. Desperate? Defensive? I don't care. She attacked me. On stage. In public. And I'm supposed to just sit here and let her win. Another silence. Because deep down, every person in that room knew something Meghan wouldn't admit. Kate didn't need to win anything. She already had. But Meghan was spiraling too hard to see that. Her voice trembled with frustration, anger, and, beneath all that, fear. What do you think people are going to say? She demanded, pacing the room. That I deserve it? That I asked for it? That she's right? That I'm. She couldn't finish the sentence. But everyone knew the word she was choking on. Irrelevant. That was Meghan's nightmare. Irrelevance. Being forgotten. Being replaced. Being overshadowed by Kate forever. Being remembered only through scandals, rumors, or jokes, not accomplishments. Someone gently reminded her. Responding aggressively may add fuel. Meghan cut her off. Kate humiliated me. If we don't respond, we're letting her control the story. And then came the moment. The moment that changed the entire trajectory of the meltdown. Meghan turned to the window, gripping her phone. Her voice dropped to a much quieter, more vulnerable whisper. Why would she do this to me? No one answered. Because no one could. And then the meltdown escalated. She dialed a number. Fast, almost frantic. The call connected. She didn't even say hello. She did it on purpose, Meghan hissed into the phone. You told me she wouldn't. You told me she'd never go there. You lied. A pause. A man's voice faintly responded, trying to calm her. We don't know who he was, not yet. But the leaked audio later provided enough clues for people to speculate. Meghan didn't calm down. She paced again, voice shaking. She humiliated me in front of the world. Do you understand that? She just painted me as. Another pause. As what? As a woman with a past? As someone with a reputation she tried to outrun? As someone the world doesn't fully believe? She didn't say it. But she didn't need to. Everyone listening knew. Her voice cracked. This is going to destroy everything I've built. Her PR director stepped forward again, gently. Meghan, we need to focus. We need a plan. Should we prepare a press release? Should we contact your attorney? Should we counterspin the narrative? Meghan shook her head violently. No, not yet. Not until I talk to Harry. She grabbed her second phone, Harry's private line, and dialed. The call rang, and rang, and rang. No answer. Meghan's jaw tightened. She tried again. No answer. A third time. This time, Harry picked up. He sounded out of breath, startled. Meg? What's wrong? She didn't hesitate. She attacked me. A long pause. Kate? He asked, confused. Meghan exploded. Who else, Harry? She humiliated me publicly. She made a joke about me, about my past, in front of the entire world. And now the internet is dragging me again. Harry sighed softly, the kind of sigh people make when they know they're about to be pulled into a hurricane they didn't create. Meg? I'm sure she didn't mean. Don't defend her. Harry immediately fell silent. Meghan continued. You don't understand. This is intentional. She's trying to destroy me. Harry tried again to calm her, but she wasn't listening. Get back here, she demanded. Now? I need you here. We need to respond together. Harry hesitated. A dangerous hesitation. Meg, I'm with friends. Meghan's voice dropped to an icy whisper. Are you kidding me? Harry said something quietly in the background, muffled, unclear. Meghan's breathing turned sharp. Harry, get home. And then she hung up. The room was silent. Harry's hesitation had rattled her even more than the joke. Her staff exchanged looks. They knew a second meltdown was brewing. And they were right. With trembling hands, Meghan opened her laptop again. The hashtags were growing. The memes were multiplying. Worse. And this was the final trigger. Someone on Twitter had posted a clip of Kate's joke with the caption. She didn't say Meghan, but we all heard Meghan. It already had 60,000 likes. That was it. Meghan slammed the laptop shut. Her voice cracked in fury. Get the crisis team. Get the lawyers. Get everyone. This ends now. But something else was happening. Something Meghan didn't realize. One of the staff members in the room, panicking, confused, overwhelmed, had accidentally left their audio recorder on. Everything Meghan said was being captured, and that clip would soon leak. But what happened next, the moment Meghan finally learned about the leak, would be even more chaotic, and it would push her from panic into full-blown crisis mode. There's a question that kept echoing across every news program, every podcast, every royal commentary channel in the 48 hours after the Future Workforce Summit. Did Kate do it on purpose? Was that joke, that 8-second verbal dagger, a carefully crafted moment of royal shade? Or was it an innocent comment, misinterpreted by a world that's been trained to look for rivalry? But here's the truth, and it's uncomfortable. People don't ask that question unless they already believe the answer is yes. And Meghan? Oh, Meghan didn't just believe it. She was certain, convinced, utterly unshakable in her belief that Kate had done it deliberately. But certainty doesn't equal truth. So let's unravel this. Let's start with Kate. The woman who, for years, was praised for her perfect public behavior. The woman who never raised her voice, never lost her temper, never publicly acknowledged the drama swirling around the royal family. The woman who smiled at Meghan when Meghan did not smile back. The woman who absorbed accusations, criticisms, and tensions with that serene, polite royal mask she was trained to wear long before Meghan ever met Harry. Kate, who, according to insiders, doesn't do messy. But every mask has a crack. Every poised royal has a pressure point. Every smile hides a story. So the question becomes, did Kate snap? Did she finally let out a moment of truth? A moment she'd been holding in for years? Or was the timing just too perfect for Meghan's insecurities? Let's go back to the speech itself. Kate was talking about resilience, about overcoming obstacles, about women navigating a world that often judges them more harshly. Then she paused. She looked up. Her gaze swept the room. She shifted her weight, a subtle motion, but one that body language experts later dissected like a forensic crime scene. Some said her eyes flickered with amusement. Others said she took a breath normally. Others claimed she looked straight at the BBC camera for a fraction of a second. Whatever people saw, intentional or imagined, it fueled the theory. So let's break down the possibilities. Option 1. Kate planned it. She sat with speechwriters. She reviewed drafts. And in a quiet moment, maybe with a cup of tea, maybe with a sigh of exhaustion, she decided she had finally had enough. Enough of the documentary. Enough of the interviews. Enough of the accusations. Enough of Meghan's constant implication that Kate was part of her suffering. So she slipped in a line. A tiny one. One that meant nothing to the general public. Unless they knew the history. If this is true, it was genius. Because she didn't say Meghan's name. She didn't mention the yacht rumor. She didn't violate protocol. She simply opened a door and let the public walk through it. The woman is smart, calculated, strategic. So yes, it's possible. Option 2. It was spontaneous. Kate was speaking freely. She reached the part about resilience and grit. She thought of the criticisms women face. And she tossed in a line that, in her mind, was harmless. A moment of light humor. A relatable observation. A little jab at society, not at Meghan. If this is true, the entire scandal was a misinterpretation that spiraled into madness, driven by Meghan's fear more than Kate's intention. Then there's option 3, the one no one wants to acknowledge. Kate didn't plan it. It wasn't spontaneous either. It was instinct. A moment of honesty slipping through. Because let's be real, Kate is human. And after years of Meghan throwing silent bombs across the Atlantic, interviews, documentaries, accusations, insinuations, maybe Kate finally felt the need to remind the world. You're not the only one who knows things, Meghan. If this was the case, then the comment wasn't cruel. It was cathartic. A release. A boundary. A moment where Kate's carefully bottled up frustration found a safe way out. A joke. That wasn't really a joke. But before we decide which explanation is the truth, we have to look at the other side of the equation. Meghan's reaction. Because the intensity of Meghan's meltdown wasn't just about Kate's words. It was about the timing, the context, the pressure. You see, Meghan had been preparing something big in the weeks leading up to the summit. Something major. Something that, if it succeeded, would have shifted public attention back to her projects, back to her brand. A rebrand. Quietly, strategically, carefully crafted. A new documentary. A new initiative. A new public image. She wanted the conversation to shift away from scandals, away from drama, away from the past. She wanted redemption. She wanted power. She wanted headlines that said, Meghan Markle is back. Instead, the headlines said, Kate Middleton shades Meghan Markle without saying her name. That cut deeper than any insult, because it made Meghan irrelevant again. It shoved her out of the spotlight. It pulled her back into the shadow of Kate, the one place she never wanted to be. So ask yourself again, did Kate know? Did Kate purposely sabotage Meghan's attempt at rebranding? Or did Meghan simply project her fear onto the moment? There's another angle to consider, and this one comes from inside the royal household. An aide from Kensington Palace, speaking off record, said, Kate doesn't fire shots. She plants gardens. But sometimes, a rose has thorns. Interesting. Another aide claimed something far more revealing. She knew exactly how it would be interpreted. But then a third insisted. It was a coincidence. She didn't mean anything by it. Conflicting accounts. Conflicting motivations. Conflicting interpretations. So what's the truth? Here's a detail most people missed. Kate rehearsed that speech. She practiced it. She refined it. She polished it. She worked through it with speech coaches, advisors, and communication experts. So the line was added, deliberately or not, during that process. Which leads to the real question. Was the line originally in Kate's prepared script? Or did she insert it herself? That's where the story gets fascinating. Because leaked documents later revealed something surprising. The official script submitted by Kensington Palace to summit organizers did not include that line, meaning Kate added it on her own. Not her team, not her speechwriters, not the PR communication office. Her. Kate decided to say it. Kate delivered it flawlessly. Kate smiled afterward like she'd just shared a warm anecdote about her children. This doesn't prove intention, but it leans heavily toward it. Now let's talk psychology for a moment. People often say the quietest people have the sharpest minds. The ones who stay silent the longest often speak the most powerful truths. The ones who don't throw punches publicly often hit the hardest when they finally decide to strike. Kate is that type. She doesn't talk. She doesn't comment. She doesn't react. But once in a while, once in a decade, she lets the world know she's not naive, not oblivious, not unaware. And no matter how perfect her smile appears on camera, she is fully capable of defending herself without ever lifting a finger. That's what made her comment so impactful. She struck, and Meghan felt it instantly. Whether Kate meant it or not, the effect was the same. Now here's the twist. While the world debated whether Kate's comment was intentional, someone who knew both women before the royal wedding stepped forward with a claim that changed everything. This person said, she rehearsed that line. I heard it. She knew exactly what she was doing. But who is this person? How did they hear Kate rehearse? How did they know the meaning behind the line? And why were they connected to both Kate and Meghan before their feud even began? That's the question that leads directly into the next chapter. Because this person didn't just claim Kate rehearsed the line, they claimed Kate rehearsed it for a very specific reason. A reason tied to Meghan's past. A reason connected to the Duchess of Yacht rumor. A reason Meghan never expected to resurface. There are names you never forget. Nicknames that stick like glue, no matter how hard you try to wipe them away. Names that make your stomach twist the moment you hear them again. For Meghan Markle, there was one name above all others. One that haunted her in boardrooms, in Hollywood parties, in private whispers among friends. The Duchess of Yacht. It wasn't official. It wasn't meant to be flattering. It wasn't something Meghan ever used herself. But everyone knew it. And Kate Middleton just casually reminded the world, and Meghan personally, that it existed. The nickname originated years ago, back when Meghan was still carving out her Hollywood career. She had friends, yes, but also enemies, rivalries, and those petty social journalists who lived to assign labels. Someone, maybe an acquaintance from a yacht club party, maybe a staffer, maybe an overly eager gossip journalist, coined it. Duchess of Yacht, they said. Half joke, half criticism, half obsession with Meghan's supposed extravagant lifestyle and her taste for public attention. It stuck, and Meghan spent years trying to bury it. A PR team in Los Angeles scrubbed social media. Lawyers threatened journalists. Meghan herself publicly denied it once, carefully crafting the message to sound casual. But it never really went away. It lingered, floating beneath the surface of public perception, whispered in interviews and satire, cropping up on forums and tabloids. And now, at the Future Workforce Summit, Kate Middleton had invoked it, or at least triggered it in everyone's mind, without ever uttering a word. Think about that. 8 words. No direct mention. No accusation. And yet the association was immediate. It was a masterstroke of subtlety, or perhaps a calculated stab, depending on how you view it. Kate's joke hit Meghan in 2 ways simultaneously. First, it resurrected a nickname Meghan assumed she had erased from public memory. Second, it did so in a public, professional setting where Meghan had been trying to rebuild her image. Because Meghan's strategy for 2025, yes, even before this summit, had been clear. Step back from controversy. Focus on causes. Project sophistication, stability, influence. Appear above the fray. Win back credibility. Position herself as someone serious, someone committed, someone untouchable. Kate's joke threatened to undo all of that. And Meghan knew it. The moment it hit, she reportedly froze. The phone in her hand vibrated with alerts. Her PR director whispered warnings. Meghan, breathe. Control it. Don't react publicly. But Meghan wasn't listening. Not then. Not ever. Because the nickname wasn't just a reminder of an old rumor. It was a reminder of her insecurities, her need for validation, her fear of irrelevance, her obsession with being seen as equal to Kate, or better. She felt exposed, embarrassed, trapped. And yet there was more. Because the nickname carried layers Meghan never admitted. It wasn't only a social label. It wasn't only a media quip. It was a reflection of perception, one that painted Meghan as frivolous, opportunistic, and self-serving. Which, of course, Meghan argued she was not. But in the court of public opinion, perception is everything. So when Kate, in 8 perfect seconds, reignited that perception, Meghan's response was instinctive, emotional, uncontrollable. Inside Montecito, she paced. She called aides. She drafted statements. She deleted them. She drafted them again. Staffers later said it was like watching a live wire unravel. Her hands were shaking, one said. She kept repeating, "She thinks she can humiliate me. She thinks she can call me that. She thinks." Another aide whispered, "I've never seen anyone spiral like this over a single line before." It was terrifying. But Meghan's reaction wasn't purely personal. It had strategic implications. Because the Duchess of Yacht nickname wasn't just a private embarrassment. It had consequences for her initiatives, her brand partnerships, her re-emerging public projects. If that nickname resurfaced in social media, in news coverage, in viral clips, suddenly, all of Meghan's carefully constructed narratives about empowerment, sophistication, and influence could be undermined. And it wasn't just the audience who noticed. Hollywood insiders, social media influencers, royal watchers, all of them began connecting the dots, interpreting the joke as a direct reference. The hashtags formed within minutes. Hashtag Duchess of Yacht. Hashtag Kate Shade. Hashtag Royal Feud. And Meghan, as we've seen, lost control. She wasn't angry at the world. She was angry at Kate. And her anger went far beyond frustration. It became personal. Her PR director tried a calming approach. "Meghan, it's just a joke. Don't give them fuel." Meghan snapped. "Don't you understand? This is strategic. This is calculated. She's sending a message, not to me, to everyone. And I will not let it go unanswered." She drafted a social media statement, then deleted it, then drafted another, then deleted it again. Her phone kept buzzing. Alerts, DMs, emails, calls. Each one escalating her anxiety, each one feeding the perception she most feared, that she was being laughed at. And that's the cruel irony. Kate didn't say a word about yachts, luxury, or parties. Kate didn't mention Meghan directly. Kate merely planted the seed. And the seed blossomed instantly, in Meghan's mind and in the public's imagination, as a full-blown scandal. But here's the real twist. The nickname had history. History that linked Kate and Meghan in ways most people didn't realize. An insider later revealed that the nickname first surfaced in Kate's social circle years ago. A story circulated, a joke about Meghan's lifestyle, her Hollywood connections, and a yacht party she attended. Kate heard it. Kate remembered it. Kate never confirmed it publicly. Until now. By triggering the nickname at the summit, she reminded Meghan, without explicitly saying a thing, that her past could never be completely hidden. Meghan reportedly realized this the moment she heard the audience laugh. It wasn't a joke anymore. It was a public accusation, veiled, insinuated, unavoidable. And Meghan's reaction? Predictable, immediate, explosive. She called Harry. She texted aides. She paced the PR panic room like a caged animal. She drafted statements. She screamed into the air. She demanded control. All while the world watched, completely unaware that the storm was already forming. But what Meghan didn't know, what she wouldn't realize until hours later, was that someone had captured every word she said during her meltdown. An audio recording, a staffer's accidental recording, a clip that would eventually surface online. And once it leaked, everything changed. The phone rang 3 times before Harry picked up. 3 times that Meghan Markle felt the weight of every insult, every rumor, every jab directed her way. 3 times that the words Duchess of Yacht reverberated in her mind like a warning siren, a reminder of what Kate Middleton had managed to unleash with 8 seconds and a smile. And when Harry finally answered, Meghan's voice cut through the line like glass, sharp, trembling, panicked, furious. She attacked me, she hissed, barely pausing to breathe. She humiliated me in front of the world. And you just let it happen. Harry, caught off guard, tried to interject. Meg, I'm sure it wasn't meant like. Don't defend her, Meghan snapped, her words slicing through the airwaves. Don't you dare. She did this on purpose. I know she did. I can't believe you're even trying to. The call escalated immediately, with Meghan pacing through the mansion like a predator circling her prey, one hand gripping her phone, the other smacking at empty air. She was beyond reason. She was beyond calm. Her staff, hovering nearby, exchanged glances. They'd seen panic before, yes. They'd seen anger before. But nothing like this. This wasn't just a meltdown. This was an unraveling. Every carefully curated public image Meghan had built over years was crumbling in real time, and Harry, miles away, was powerless to intervene. Harry, she laughed at me. She smiled. And the whole audience knew what she meant. They all knew. Meghan continued, her voice cracking with intensity. Do you understand? Everyone is talking about it. Everyone. The press, the internet, social media, everyone is trending this. And you're just standing there. Harry tried again, softening his tone. Meg, maybe it wasn't meant personally. Maybe it was just a general. And no, she yelled, cutting him off. Do you hear yourself? Maybe. Just a joke? She's been planning this, Harry. I know it. And now, they're using it against me. Against us. The word us was telling. Meghan was pulling Harry into her emotional spiral, dragging him into the heat of her perceived injustice. She wasn't just reacting to Kate's remark. She was spinning the entire royal universe around it, assuming conspiracies, plotting counters, imagining betrayals. She paused only to take a deep breath, but the pause didn't calm her. It amplified her fury. Her mind raced as fast as her heartbeat, jumping from the summit to Montecito to Hollywood gossip and back again. Every network headline she'd ever feared flashed in her imagination. Every tabloid rumor she had tried to erase in the past came alive, shimmering under the bright spotlight of public scrutiny. Harry, on the other end of the line, tried reasoning with her, his voice patient but measured. Meg, you know I'm here. You know I support you. But we have to think strategically. If you respond too quickly, it could make things worse. But Meghan didn't want strategy. She wanted immediate retribution. She wanted acknowledgement. She wanted vindication. The calm, calculated Meghan, the one who mastered PR and optics, was gone. In her place was a woman feeling cornered, humiliated, and desperate to reclaim control. Do you understand? Meghan snapped, pacing faster. This is more than a joke. This is personal. She knows exactly how to hit me. She knows exactly what buttons to push. She's done it before, and now the world sees it. She's making me the punchline, Harry. Harry sighed, the kind of long, exhausted sigh reserved for moments when you realize words alone cannot fix the situation. Meg, I know. I get it. But what if we take a step back? What if we don't respond publicly yet? Let's figure out. Step back. Meghan's voice climbed an octave. Do you even hear yourself? Step back? This isn't a chess game anymore. This is my life. This is my reputation. If I don't act now, she wins. She always wins. Her frustration was tangible, almost palpable, even through the phone line. Staffers could see it in the quiver of her hands, the widening of her eyes, the rapid steps across the room. The energy was explosive, uncontrolled, dangerous, and completely unfiltered. Finally, Harry attempted a different approach, softer, almost pleading. Meg, I'm right here. I'm listening. I want to help. Let's just think this through for a minute. But Meghan's response was a sharp laugh, brittle, cutting, dripping with disbelief. Think this through? You think this through? You weren't in that room. You didn't see it. You didn't feel what it's like to be laughed at by the world while she smiles at everyone as if she owns the place. She paused, breathing heavily, letting the words hang. Then, as though the weight of the entire conversation demanded action, she issued a command. Get here. Now. I need you. We need to respond together. Harry hesitated. He was still miles away, caught between logistical impossibility and emotional urgency. Meg, I can't just. Are you kidding me? Meghan's whisper cut like a knife. Are you serious? You're telling me you're not coming. The call ended with Meghan hanging up abruptly, her chest heaving, her face flushed with fury and fear. Staffers exchanged terrified glances, realizing the situation had escalated far beyond their control. The PR panic room, already tense, became a war room, charged with adrenaline and dread. Immediately, Meghan began drafting statements, frantic and half-formed. Tweets, press releases, Instagram captions. Her fingers flew across the keyboard, typing, deleting, typing again. Every line reflected the chaos within her, desperation, anger, and a need for vindication. Then came the next shocking development. One of her aides, in a rush to coordinate damage control, had accidentally left an audio recorder on. Every word Meghan spoke, every shout, every frantic instruction, every accusation against Kate was captured. The recording would later surface, though Meghan had no knowledge of it at the time. But in that moment, she didn't care about recordings or leaks or consequences. All that mattered was taking immediate action, controlling the narrative, reclaiming her image, and ensuring that the nickname Duchess of Yacht did not dominate headlines. Minutes turned into an hour. Emails flew. Calls pinged. Staffers ran back and forth, trying to manage the situation. Every step Meghan took seemed to escalate the chaos. Every decision was more impulsive than the last. And yet, through all this, Meghan's mind kept returning to a single thought. Kate Middleton, the poised, calm, graceful princess who had just effortlessly reminded the world, and Meghan personally, that even perfection has teeth. Meghan's fury was personal, yes, but it was also strategic. She knew that if she didn't act, the world would continue to perceive Kate as the unshakable, untouchable figure, the woman who could speak lightly and be revered, while Meghan scrambled to justify herself. So she made a choice. She would not be ignored. She would not be laughed at. She would not be relegated to a punchline. And that choice set in motion a chain of events that no PR consultant could have anticipated. While Meghan was spiraling in Montecito, halfway across the Atlantic, a very different kind of storm was brewing behind the polished walls of Buckingham Palace. The summit had already made international headlines. Clips of Kate's speech were circulating online, comments were trending on every major platform, and the whispers about the infamous Duchess of Yacht nickname had ignited a media frenzy. The palace couldn't ignore it. Not this time. Inside the palace, aides and courtiers were buzzing with quiet urgency. Security briefings were updated. The communications team scrambled to assess potential damage. The press office convened an emergency meeting. And somewhere near the Queen's private office, a small group of senior staffers huddled, debating the implications. The first question on everyone's mind: how intentional was Kate's comment? Some argued it was nothing more than a casual quip, a minor ripple blown out of proportion by Meghan's overreaction and a hyperactive media cycle. Others weren't so sure. They had observed Kate's preparation process for weeks. The rehearsals, the speech notes, the quiet discussions with advisors, and some felt that even a slight wink, pause, or inflection could have been enough to signal something deeper to Meghan. King Charles himself was reportedly briefed on the situation by a senior aide. His response, as described by insiders, was measured but firm, a mixture of disbelief at the intensity of Meghan's reaction and concern over potential media fallout. According to sources, he commented that while royal decorum should always be maintained, subtle digs were sometimes unavoidable when managing a complex family dynamic. And then there was Queen Camilla. Camilla's reaction was subtler, but insiders say it carried significant weight. According to one palace source, she leaned into the advisors, her expression almost imperceptibly amused. "Sometimes," she said quietly, "one must let subtlety do the work." Her tone suggested that Kate's words were not only intentional, but cleverly deployed to assert boundaries without causing a direct confrontation. The palace staff quickly realized that the situation was more complicated than a simple misunderstanding. Meghan's reaction was far from the controlled, public-facing image she usually cultivated. And with audio leaks beginning to circulate, the palace recognized a looming crisis, one that could escalate quickly if not managed with precision. One senior aide described the scene. "We had multiple teams working at once: communications, security, private staff, PR liaisons. Everyone was trying to predict what Meghan would do next. She has an unpredictable streak, and the media has an even more unpredictable memory. Every call Meghan made, every statement she drafted, every staffer update she demanded, it all rippled through palace channels like a shockwave." The palace's communication office, normally reserved and understated, found itself coordinating with multiple international media outlets in real time, trying to contain speculation and prevent misinformation from spreading. At the same time, palace insiders note that the staff were carefully balancing discretion with intervention. Meghan had not crossed any official legal or protocol boundaries yet, so any overt interference could backfire. They had to watch, document, and prepare contingency plans, while maintaining the public perception of unity and professionalism. The communications team even drafted potential responses in the event that Meghan's meltdown became public. Several scenarios were considered: preemptive social media statements, discreet memos to royal correspondents, private calls to media allies, and strategic leaks designed to frame the narrative in favor of the royal family's reputation. One aide reportedly remarked that managing Meghan in these moments felt like handling live explosives, and the metaphor was apartment. Every small movement, every misstep, had the potential to detonate into headlines, memes, and viral clips that could linger for weeks. Meanwhile, other courtiers debated Kate's intent. Was the comment calculated as a subtle assertion of dominance? Or was it a spontaneous remark, born from her comfort on stage and the ease with which she handled public scrutiny? Some believe Kate had indeed planted a quiet, strategic jab, a line rehearsed and deployed with perfect timing. Others thought it was coincidence, a natural moment of humor that happened to coincide with Meghan's insecurities. Regardless, the palace recognized that Meghan's response, frantic, emotional, and escalating, was far more consequential than Kate's words themselves. The risk wasn't in the joke. The risk was in the chaos it triggered. And then there was the leak. The staff member who had accidentally recorded Meghan's meltdown became a central concern. Once it became clear that the audio existed, the palace communications team understood that the stakes had shifted dramatically. This wasn't just about a trending nickname or a viral clip. It was now a matter of public perception and control. The palace moved swiftly. Meetings were convened to discuss potential responses. Some proposed a proactive narrative that highlighted Meghan's philanthropic efforts to balance the optics. Others suggested a more hands-off approach, allowing the story to settle naturally, emphasizing Kate's professionalism and poise in contrast to Meghan's emotional volatility. King Charles, Queen Camilla, and other senior figures remained in constant consultation with advisors, weighing the potential risks of each option. A key question dominated the discussions: how much should the palace intervene, and how much should they allow the natural fallout to unfold? According to insiders, the consensus leaned toward a measured approach: minimal intervention, careful monitoring, and strategic guidance offered only when absolutely necessary. The palace understood that any heavy-handed action could escalate the situation further, making Meghan appear even more aggrieved and the palace overly controlling. In parallel, the palace began compiling an intelligence report. Every clip, every tweet, every viral post was cataloged. Analysts tracked sentiment, gauged public perception, and identified influencers shaping the conversation. They weren't just monitoring the media. They were anticipating Meghan's next move, predicting how she might escalate or attempt to regain control of the narrative. As the hours ticked by, the palace remained poised. Security protocols were tightened discreetly. Staffers prepared for potential visits, unexpected media inquiries, and the complex interplay between private emotion and public exposure. The strategy was clear. Maintain control, protect the royal image, and ensure that any fallout reflected on the individuals responsible for the incident rather than the institution itself. And yet, even with all this preparation, there was an undeniable tension. Everyone in the room knew one truth. Meghan's reaction could not be contained forever. The combination of her emotion, the leaked audio, and the viral nickname had created a perfect storm. One misstep, one public comment, one misinterpreted action could escalate the situation into something far beyond anyone's control. But what came next? The private maneuverings, the whispered warnings, the unexpected alliances, would set the stage for an even more dramatic turn of events. Because what Meghan didn't realize in Montecito, and what the public couldn't see, was that Buckingham Palace was already moving in ways that would amplify the tension, not resolve it. It was only a few hours after the Future Workforce Summit ended, and yet the world already seemed to be talking about nothing else. News channels, social media feeds, podcasts, and gossip blogs were ablaze. The 8-second joke Kate Middleton delivered had rippled across the internet, but what sent the frenzy into overdrive was something far more explosive: the leaked backstage clip. The clip showed Meghan Markle in the Montecito mansion, pacing her office, phone in hand, her voice quivering between panic and rage. She was yelling, she was shouting, she was pleading with her staff to manage the fallout, and she was calling Harry repeatedly. Every word, every shriek, every tear was captured, not by a journalist, not by a camera crew, but by a staff member who had inadvertently left an audio recorder on during what they thought was a private session. The question that immediately dominated conversations in royal circles and across social media was simple. Who leaked it? The palace and Meghan's team both insisted they had no idea. Insiders were sworn to secrecy, but speculation ran rampant. Was it an accident? A betrayal? A strategic move? Everyone had a theory. Some believed it was a simple mistake. The staff member responsible had been overwhelmed, working simultaneously on crisis communications, social media monitoring, and internal coordination. Leaving a recorder on in such a high-pressure moment, though careless, could happen. But others believed it was deliberate, that someone, somewhere, had seen an opportunity to humiliate Meghan, to capitalize on her meltdown, and had acted with precision. Leakers in royal circles are not uncommon, but in this case, the implications were massive. The clip wasn't just embarrassing, it was damning. Meghan's image, her reputation for composure and strategic thinking, had been shredded in less than 10 minutes. The audio captured her worst fears, her insecurities, and her unfiltered reactions. As speculation mounted, journalists began piecing together the puzzle. Observers noted the timing of the leak, the content of the recording, and the subtle background noises that suggested a home office rather than a professional studio. Analysts wondered if the leak could have been coordinated to coincide with the trending hashtag Duchess of Yacht, amplifying the impact. Meghan's team went into overdrive. Staffers frantically tried to contain the spread, contacting platforms, issuing takedown requests, and trying to manage journalists. But the internet moves faster than any legal request. Within minutes, snippets of the audio were shared, reshared, and discussed across every platform. Every viral clip carried Meghan's emotion, raw, unfiltered, uncontrollable. Palace officials were simultaneously monitoring the situation, trying to anticipate both the media response and Meghan's reaction. They knew that public perception now hinged on two factors: the original joke by Kate and Meghan's reaction to it. The leaked audio made the latter far more prominent. In many eyes, Meghan's meltdown overshadowed the joke itself. Inside the palace, advisors speculated about motives. Was it a staffer acting independently? A rival royal aide? Someone from Meghan's previous Hollywood circles seeking revenge? Or perhaps even a coordinated attempt to undermine her authority before she could re-establish her rebrand? Some sources hinted at a curious detail. A staff member known for being overly ambitious, frustrated with the chaos, and connected to external media contacts had recently been involved in confidential communications. Could they have acted impulsively? Or was this an act of calculated sabotage? Meanwhile, the public was eating it up. Social media commentary ranged from amusement to condemnation. Memes popped up almost instantly, side-by-side images of Kate smiling on stage with Meghan screaming on a phone in her office. The nickname Duchess of Yacht trended again, now accompanied by clips of Meghan's meltdown. The leak also sparked a wider conversation about Meghan's behavior. Analysts on television debated her professionalism, her emotional intelligence, and her ability to handle criticism. Some were sympathetic, framing it as a natural reaction to provocation. Others were critical, portraying her as volatile and unfit for public roles requiring composure. Every speculation, every meme, every analysis added fuel to the fire. And for Meghan, that was the most infuriating part. She felt exposed, betrayed, and cornered all at once. The staffer who recorded the audio